Guys, I am in the best mood possible because I snuck into my fantasy football playoffs by a last-second missed field goal. So, life's good, and because life is so good right now, knock on wood, what I want to do is I want to give you guys my Sakazuki deck list going into set 5, right? So I told you, now before I show you the list, I'll give you a quick rundown. I told you in my last video, or a few videos ago, that I was deciding whether or not to go with like the bounce heavy version, kind of like how you play Crocodile, or the Navy version. And I think the Navy version is just overall better right now because it's better into Zoro, it's better into both the laws, it's better into, and the way that I structured the deck, it's better into red, purple Luffy as well. So without further ado, here is my list. I'll kind of go ahead and show you what's going on here. So cool, you can see it. So obviously I'm playing Sakazuki. So 2 Borsalino. Guys, Borsalino is super important, but it feels like in the mirror match, Lucci's more important more than often, right? So like obviously Borsalino on curve I think is great, but towards the end of the game it's just Lucci's better because you can play more cards. Like you can play Rebecca to play your Hina, then to play the Lucci and whatnot, rather than, you know, Borsalino is pretty much all you're gonna be playing character wise that turn, unless you're like playing like a Mancherry or something like that. We're playing 2 Kaido. Here, let me move my thing a little bit for you guys. Ooh. There we go. Okay, so we're playing 2 of the 10 cost Kaido. The reason being, guys, is in the mirror match, you run out of resources pretty quickly, and you know, towards the end of the game when they start setting up like their Rebecca plays and whatnot, you know, like when they play Rebecca and then play like Borsalino and then, you know, just play 2 blockers basically and pass, you drop a 10 cost 12k that is really hard to get off the board, and you draw 4. If you play this when you're in a position where you're not going to die the next turn, I think you just automatically win the game. Not only is the 10 cost really tough to remove, they have to see an Ice Age, or they have to see like, honestly, like Hina, and then on top of, you know, Great Eruption. Like there's just a lot of things they have to see to be able to get rid of a 10 cost, right? I said that in so many other videos, but 10 costs are really tough to remove because this is a combo deck. So especially when it's later on in the game when you're going to be dropping that, you don't drop it as soon as you can. You drop it when it's going to be most effective, right? So as soon as you're able to drop this and you're in like a position where you're both kind of running out of resources, this is just like an immediate, like I win the game pretty much, unless they have their own, of course. Then we're playing 2 Kuzans, and the reason we're playing 2 of these on top of the Hinas is because like, the Hina is something that you play basically out of the trash against, and the reason we're playing this as well is because Hina is basically you just play Hina off of Rebecca. Kuzan is something that you can play like turn 2 realistically, and then against red purple Luffy you just have this, and the second they play like Kid or any of their big characters, that's when you just turn it sideways. It literally just sits there basically the entire game against most decks, except for the mirror match. This will just sit there, and it will stand there menacingly, right? You know, if this is active, there's not a lot of decks in the game that can just like get rid of this. I think the only one is Sakazuki pretty much, and then like Ace or something like that. But but like, you know, this isn't really that important. This is probably discard fodder into decks like Ace. But yeah, so that's why I play the Kuzans. I'm playing 10 2Ks. I'm playing 4 Tsuru. I'm playing 2 Virgo because Virgo is not only searchable by brand new, but he's also recyclable off of both Rebecca and Mancherry, because they both pick up 3 to 5 cost characters from the trash, or Rebecca 7, and Virgo is a 2k counter. He's a 5 cost Navy card, so searchable, he's recyclable, and sometimes has an effect that could come in handy. Probably not. You're in a very bad spot if you're playing Virgo, but it just, you know, it happens. And then the last one, obviously, we're playing Tashigi. Same thing. It's recyclable. Then we're playing 4 Borsalino. The reason we're playing Borsalino is because a lot of decks rely on Lucci at the end of the game to go ahead and pop blockers to go for game. And then Borsalino obviously can't be KO'd on your opponent's turn. So obviously just a good wall off card right there. 4 brand new, obviously, to search. 2 Mancherry, because Mancherry, I think, dude, if we could fit Mancherry in this deck as a 4 of, I think she's so good. Not only is she like, you have to attack her or she's just going to get value every turn, but for 2 costs, you basically just get back a 2k counter from your trash, or you can get back a Rob Lucci from your trash. You can get back Rebecca if you use it as a counter. It's just like, Mancherry is just really good, man. Like, Mancherry is so good in this deck. Very underrated, because Rebecca's just better, but Mancherry is really good too. And then obviously for Rebecca, for Lucci. Lucci's just really good. We're playing 3 Hina because basically most people play 4 Hina, but because we're playing 2 Kuzans, I feel like 4 Hina is just too much. Plus I want to fit in, I wanted to fit in these 3,000 worlds, and which I'll talk to you about in a second. But these are on play. This one's when attacking, so it just gives you good options on when you can actually cost minus. That way you're not reliant on finding like Great Eruption and Ice Age. Then we're playing double Sanji's Pilaf. I think this card's insane, guys. I think there's so many times where you can just use this, and if you can't use it, you know, you just pitch it off your leader effect. You know, like if it's one of those games, just pitch it. Like it's not a big deal. If you trigger it, it's fantastic. If like there's no downside to this card. If we can fit it at 4, I would. I used to have it at 4, but then because of the red unrestrictions, I had to bring this down to 2 just so I can fit in these 3,000 worlds, which I really like. That's the next card we're going to talk about, guys. With the Hina and the Kuzan and Ice Age, this can hit Newgate, right? This can hit a 9 cost, right? With Great Eruption and your leader effect, this can hit an 8 cost, right? Which is Douglas Bullet. It's 7 cost Kid. It's just a lot of cards that can hit, right? If not, it's a good trigger. And you know, even if you're not hitting Newgate, if you're trying to go for game and they have a queen on board, you can just 3,000 worlds it away. Of course, so like in the past I said I would play Red Rock, but because we have so many cost minusers in here, I mean just look at this, guys. We have Hina and Kuzan and Great Eruption, Ice Age. We have Tashigi, Tsuru. There's just so much cost minus here that I think 3,000 worlds for right now is at least just better than Red Rock, because it's just slightly cheaper, and plus these other cards you can like cycle pretty much. Like Great Eruption helps you cycle. Tashigi is just recyclable, and if they don't kill her when she taps herself, she can just use her effect the next turn. So it's just stuff like that's like super helpful. Now obviously if people are just hyper ramping and that's the meta, then I would replace these with 3,000 with Red Rocks. But I'd probably, if I replace these with Red Rocks, I'd probably take out the Kuzans. But we'll see how the meta evolves. And then obviously for Hound Blaze, I call it Blaze Hound for some reason. I think we'll see what the translation is in America, but I was calling it Blaze Hound for a while because that's what it was on the sim, I thought. But this card is just this card is absolutely insane. Like it's just really good. Then we're playing 1 Ice Age. Obviously it's searchable. Usually, dude, it's tough though, because like when you mill this with brand new, like if you get like a Lucci or like well, you can't get Rebecca, but like if you get like a Lucci or like I don't know, like a Hound Blaze, and then you also have the Ice Age in there, it's really tough to figure out which one you want to get. But luckily, since we are playing the Hina and the Kuzan, we only need to play 1. And then we're playing 4 Great Eruption, which very well could be 3 Great Eruption, guys. This could be 3 Great Eruption, 2 Ice Age. It just depends on what your meta looks like at your locals, and then obviously like, you know, what decks are being played in the format. If it's basically just like play big Chunguses and like try to kill you, then this is definitely gonna get cut to like 3, maybe even 2, and play just more Ice Ages and just more like removal, like 3,000 worlds or something like that. But you know, right now from the matches that I've been playing, I think this is pretty good. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I've been testing this out a lot, and I just don't see a whole lot of flaws with it. It pretty much has answers to every single matchup. A tough matchup definitely is Luffy if he can just hyper ramp. And the reason that it is because like I said this a little earlier in the video, but like when they play like 7 cost Kid into 9 cost Newgate into 9 cost Newgate into, you know, 10 drop purple Luffy, you know, the secret rare from set 5, it's like at some point you just run out of removal, right? And the whole time where they're like playing these characters, their leader's like an 8k 7k, so it's like it's not like you're like easily being able to like swing into the leader, you know, like the reason that Crocodile was so good into Whitebeard was because like the whole time we were removing their characters, we were establishing characters that were like 6k or higher, right? So like we'd remove their Thatch with Sogeking, right? And then attack for 6k. And then we'd remove their Ace with Mihawk and then attack for 9k. And it was just stuff like that, right? But this is pretty much like you're only attacking with like Hound Blaze boosted leader, Lucci, and then like sometimes Borsellino if you get him out. And then obviously Kaido is like very like closer towards the end of the game, so he's more of like a closer card or a card to like really just help you know, like close the gap in terms of like, you know when when you're put in situations where like I have to go for a game or I just lose. Basically, if you draw 4 and your opponent tries to swing at you and you counter out, they'll just scoop up the game. That's pretty much what this Kaido's for, on top of just like the mirror match and whatnot. So you're basically not swinging with a whole lot of like big characters, guys. Like, I hate to say it, but like this deck, when people have really tall leaders, it's just hard to deal with that. Because like the most you're going to be attacking with is like an 8K, and very rarely a 12K. So yeah, guys, that's my deck list. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and play some more games on the sim before I go to bed, but I will see you guys on my next video, and peace out.